What up, Big Cheds? It's now it's middle of July, 16th. I'm just uploading some Twitter Spaces. I want to get caught up on the Twitter Spaces. So I have a few of them. I'll probably do them over the next week, and then I'll continue with the new content. I put out a new Twitter Spaces this week. I also did a new YouTube this week, as promised. So I'm getting more active. But anyway, again, you know where my books are. You can find them on Amazon. Find me on Twitter at Big Cheds and YouTube at Cheds Trading. Here we go. Definitely encourage you. This, especially with so few people, this is probably a great opportunity for you to ask me a question if you've always wanted to. You can hit that button to request to speak. But let's just hang on for a minute, and we will give people time to join the conversation. So hang on there for a couple minutes. We'll fill up the room. Up. I'll just let folks know I'm Big Cheds on Twitter, of course. Check out my YouTube channel, Cheds Trading. Check out all the great educational content I've put there for you. This is episode 39 in the Twitter Spaces series. You can listen to most of the other ones in that playlist, Twitter Spaces. Check out the free version of my book, Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. And check out the interviews. Check all that good stuff out. We're really active this week. I'm really active this week because of Bitcoin Live. It's the 5-year anniversary. So I'm going to do a YouTube stream a few hours later. I know it's a Saturday. We're all hanging out, not a little low energy, maybe not too many people around, but we're still going to grind it out. We're still here. We're hanging out. It's me and you. We'll try to add some value. We'll try to create some educational content. And that's what I do on Bitcoin Live twice a week, a full market report. I've been with them since the beginning, 5 years ago. It's a wonderful world-class team. There's information in the tweet at the top of the spaces. And you can find out about that. So, the format of this of these spaces is me and you talking together. We're just going to talk. We're going to hang out. So, basically, I'm going to need you folks to ask questions. I may have a friend come and help me host this. We can maybe create a conversation, but the best value comes from just questions from regular people like you, traders, investors. It doesn't matter, folks who are just trying to grind it out. And so, take this opportunity to step up and to maybe ask me a question or two or three. I'll do my best. Let's see what I can find out. I'll see what I can figure out. Hit that button in the bottom left of your phone, and that's how we'll do this. So we'll just take a minute or so until we start to get a few people who would like to request to speak, and then we'll get this started. Hang on, Cliff. I want to build up the room just a little bit more. So, folks, hit that button in the bottom left to add your voice to the choir, to ask your question. Get my computer turned on here too, so I can take a look at a chart or two. Okay, that's good. All right. All right, Cliff. You've been patient, Cliff Safari. It's good to see you, man. Now you've been around for a while. You've been on these spaces before. How you doing, man?
Hey Chaz, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm currently dealing a poker event in Liechtenstein, and it's super dead. So I finish early and I get the opportunity to speak to you, which is nice.
What are the stakes? You said poker dealer?
Yeah. It's just a like mid-sized 1K event. So
Yeah.
1K buy-in, like nothing really special, but that's what I do for a living. I travel literally all around the world and deal different events. I was in Monte Carlo a few weeks ago, which was really amazing. That was good fun. I dealt 100K, which is an interesting stakes. So yeah,
Sure. That's awesome. I love playing poker. I've never like dealt, even at home games. I'm always want to make sure I don't flip the cards the wrong way,
yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
good
But what a,
fun.
what a fun game. What a great game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a game; it's a war out there.
Eh, there you go. Okay. So what's going on, man? What are you thinking about the market, and what are you seeing, and what would you like to talk about?
So I actually don't really care that much about the market because I have some long-term positions which I will be willing to add to for a long-term spot investment.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I want to ask you something about technical analysis actually.
Okay.
So if you could open the chart of SIL, it's a silver miners ETF.
Okay.
So 3 days ago,
Yep.
there's this on the daily chart. 3 days ago, there's this
Okay.
candle on the lower Bollinger Band, and I'm not really sure like how you call it, but it's the hammer or no, it's some kind of
You're talking about the
yeah, yeah,
doji from Wednesday.
yes, that one. So
See, I call that a dragon. That's a dragonfly
okay,
doji. Even though it's a little bit of a shadow, it's not like quote unquote like a shaven top. It's still a tiny amount of an upper shadow. It's a doji. It's a long lower shadow. So that's a dragonfly.
yeah, so my question was like I observed these exact dojis on the lower Bollinger Bands a few times and it always reversed, it always went up. So how come this one doesn't look
Mhm.
like it's going to reverse?
Couple things. First of all, with candlesticks, you're doing one thing right and one thing wrong, right? What you're doing right is you're using the Bollinger Bands, but you're not taking into account volume.
Mm.
Right? The strength of any candlestick signal is based on the volume behind it. So the volume in that doji was like half of the volume of the candle before. So there was less evidence of a reversing bear force. There was less evidence of buyers stepping in and rejecting those lower prices, and you kind of just had a lower volume,
Okay, and
mean
even with the other
mean
one,
reversion.
the day after, because the day after it had like a pretty long wick and it just bounced straight off the 200 day moving average, which it's supposed to be good, right?
Well, so moving averages. It depends on what's going on. Like a sideways moving average doesn't really do anything for you,
Ah, okay.
right? So moving averages need a trending market to interact with. Like if you want to move an average cross, you need a market to cross and reverse from. But the price just flattens out in like the 8, 20, the 31, the 50, everything's or 34 rather, the 50. It's all sideways. Like that tells you nothing when those moving averages cross, or even when the price visits them in a sideways environment. So you want price moving average interaction in a trending market.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. Thank you for the answer. And
You've watched my masterclass,
oh
right?
man,
On
I
YouTube?
watched it. I watched it actually 2 times. I'm a Bitcoin Live member, and I really did dig
Oh,
your work.
wonderful.
But regarding all the
Thank you.
education, I'm a little bit confused. Like I'm a very
Yeah.
beginner trader slash investor, and for me,
Yeah.
there's so much information out there, and
Yes.
it's
Yes.
kind of like it all makes sense what you say, but it kind of like for me it lacks structure. I don't know where to start. Like what should I do first?
CMT. You should do the CMT level 1,
Really, like I actually
you know.
bought it. I just didn't have time to get into it. But I just scrolled through the first few pages, and it seemed quite complicated. But I did.
Well, yeah, but you've got a good basis of knowledge. You're already using Bollinger's right. You're already kind of looking to use the candlesticks, the moving averages. You've got enough experience, and especially if you've been with Bitcoin Live and you've watched my masterclass series. You've been around. I know I've talked to you many times. I mean, you might I just push your way through it and then figure out what doesn't make sense to you. But push your way through that book.
Yeah, will do.
It helped me out a lot. It helped me a lot. And if you go back in BCL, it really helped turbocharge my analysis too. I just became much more confident in what I was teaching.
Yeah, nice.
So I can, yeah,
And can I have one more question? This
sure,
one will be actually for
sure.
Big Jonas. I'm a big fan of his, and I would actually really like to see him more. So the question,
Me too.
nice.
Me too.
So the question is basically what he thinks about BTC and all the regulatory FUD that's been going around for quite some while. Because we have like half of the world trying to get into Bitcoin. All the governments of the worsening economies, and then you see USA, and it looks like some heavy regulatory pressure in the framework. So I would just want to know like what he thinks where this is heading, whether it's just FUD, whether there's a real threat, and how it could affect like the longer term price.
I appreciate the question and I appreciate the kind words. Thanks, Cheds, for having me on. I want to answer your question, but first I want to make a comment on your silver question that you asked Cheds and about what happened this week in the gold market and the silver market,
Please
uh,
do.
and how it. I was thinking about gold over 2000, right? And it broke over, and like, oh, I was thinking about how is this going to affect people's mentality about this barrier that was breached once again, and is it going to get people excited about gold's about to make a huge move along with precious metals because of what's happening with the dollar, debt ceiling, and all the stuff around that as well. So I think from a technical standpoint, it's a candle that shouldn't be ignored. And I think you also trapped a lot of bulls above the 2000 mark on gold and GLD as well, in the high 160s. So very curious to see how the next few weeks play out, and if it can just back test, previous resistance now acting as support and kind of dance off of that. But it could have been a scenario which marked a top in that kind of situation. In terms of the FUD and everything around Bitcoin and how it's affecting and impacting a U.S. market, um, I think it's important in the fact about where so much of the money came into crypto in 2020 and 2021, let's just say post March COVID lows. And that scenario of new money, a lot of that fueled by an American uh,
Exceptionalism.
exceptionalism and the American dollar, and how much money and investment, easy investment, simple, understandable to most consumers, brought a lot of that into the market. Now we fast forward to where we are now, and the pressure put on KuCoin, Bittrex, may she rest in peace, Coinbase, and the ease that had been before, plus all the failed investments and fraudulent Ponzi's, aka what's happened with the places Voyager, Circle, FTX, for God's sakes. So you throw all that around, it's not or at least it's understandable as to why the U.S. regulatory, which frankly was non-existent and allowed a lot of what happened to kind of transpire, take a more firm and decisive move at this stance. Now, long term, it should be assumed that this will straighten stuff out. There'll be more clarity about what are tokens, and are they securities, and all that stuff, and the tax implications of that. If they can figure that all out and put statutes behind it, that'd be very.
Basically, we need the politicians, the exchanges to bribe the politicians, right?
And
Isn't that
to
basically what
make
we
a
need?
decision to put it on paper. Here are the rules of the game, and this is how you can enter as a customer and feel safe and feel like you're not being scammed, because we'll allow companies of note to back it, be behind it, and sell products along those lines. Now, with all the FUD and everything, we can still buy Bitcoin and Ethereum through Fidelity. There's still other ways through Bitcoin products, BITIF. A lot of the miners as well. There's ways to trade at GBTC, so it's not like it's a total hammer. And I think at some point, um, there'll be more clarity on this. But for now, let's face it, we're in an environment of uncertainty still. Coinbase, in theory, could go out of business based on what's happening, or at least try and move a lot of their shit offshore enough to maintain something where they don't have to be, under the foot of the SEC. So, because of all this uncertainty, still, that's a very bearish overall thing for the market. That will deter a lot of new, fresh capital coming into the situation. Now, you throw that in a scenario where, well, Bitcoin every 4 years or so seems to have a parabolic move after a major crash, and we've had a major crash, and we're 3 years into this thing, almost 3 years into this thing, or so. So, does that guarantee that we're going to be at all-time highs again in a year and a half from now after the halving? Historically, you could argue that's what will happen, right? We don't know what's going to happen. So, if you're an investor, and you want to think out the long term, then maybe the bottom's in, maybe not. But do you want to risk having some at least on the portfolio than to not have it at all and risk the lows not being breached again? Then again, do you wait patiently and for a better opportunity that could be on the horizon? As traders, investors, these are the issues we have to deal with. But I think that's the environment that we're in right now.
And what do you think about gold and silver in the foreseeable future, let's say next few years? Because all these uncertainties and all that's going on, it should be doing quite well, doing good for gold and silver, shouldn't it?
If it's seen as a hedge against inflation, you're thinking about the two times where gold has been here before, right? 2008, 9, right? Once again, it was 2017, 2018. And then now we're back to that 2000 level. Now, are there triple tops out there? Possibly. But can the narrative drive what should push up the price? Because scarcity really hasn't been an issue with gold and with silver, especially with silver. So I think these are short-term market um, feelings that can push the price here and there, retail and such. But I think scarcity has to be a bigger issue with the metals, and it's just really easy to acquire these if you really want them.
Isn't it less scarce than Bitcoin? Like we could eventually have the technology to mine like asteroids and stuff, right? For gold.
Yeah, and mining is always a thing that can produce products. It's funny. It's like you think about Bitcoin and the economics behind mining that. They're very similar to mining precious metals. How much will it cost to extract this out of the ground, and is it worth doing? And can I survive if my costs are more than what I'm able to find in the ground or be paid for by solving blocks?
Yeah, I think the issue with mining gold from space, it's not the mining itself, but bringing it back to Earth, because it's just too costly to basically fly anything in and out of space. So
No, just do Uber. You can just Uber it.
yeah, or Bolt. Yeah.
There you go. All right, brother. Hey, let's that was a great topics, man. Thanks for stepping up today. I
Yeah,
really
thanks for
appreciate you, bro.
listening to my shit. See you later.
Hey, man, we'll see you tomorrow on Bitcoin Live. All right. Thank you, brother. All right. Neither B nor B. Nice to see you back, man. What's going on with you, buddy? Cardinal, what's happening?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
No, you got to fix that. Come back. We can request to speak. All right, folks, if you want to join the conversation, hit that button in the bottom left-hand corner. Ask me anything. You even got Big Jonas here today. You can ask him what he thinks. He's a little bit more of a fundamental analyst than me. I'm kind of a put my nose into the price, follow the price kind of guy. But this is your opportunity here in a kind of a lazy Saturday to, ask some questions, see what we have to say. We'll do our best to answer. And, add your voice to the choir and join the conversation. So hit that button there in the bottom left. Jonas, didn't you know a buddy who was like a gold miner or something? Didn't you know someone like that?
Yeah, I knew someone like that.
What was he saying about the economics of it?
I don't know. Haven't talked in a while.
You got to catch up with him. Cardinal, let's try now, Cardinal. What's going on with you, buddy? Let's try it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm great. I guess you guys moved in like a nice piece. I heard you talking about gold earlier. I wanted to share my opinion on that. That was just like a classic upthrust on gold, right?
Let's take a look. The gold chart. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's still up there. It's still at range highs, though. I mean, on the weekly chart, it's still basically right there. It's at the top of the range.
Exactly. So like I think I was trying to take a shot. I called it up actually. Like so I was confident like that was the top because we're overly. I don't know. The sentiment was too good. Well, like was too high on gold. Like everyone was celebrating. Peter Schiff was like break even. Blah 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 blah, pushing all sorts of narratives. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
very confident. Like I took a shot there. Then I tried on CPI there also, but I got faked out. Then I took another shot recently. So that one is going well. So back to BTC, right? So like, let me ask you before I go with mine, so it won't be like I'm here to just bore you with my own trades. What's your current trade or what's your current thoughts on BTC?
I mean, I'm still bullish. I still have positions from 18K and then a short from 30.5, right? Which was a smaller position, right? I'm still net long. I'm still positioned the trend is still bullish. We're above the weekly 200, we're above the daily 200, and most importantly, we're above the neck baseline, right, of the larger inverted head and shoulders at 25. I'd like to buy a dip. I'd like to buy any dip, especially above 25K. If we lose 25K, I'm going to get much more cautious, let the price structure develop a little bit. I would target that right shoulder low, right, when we tag the weekly MA20. But it's bullish right now, and you gotta give bulls the edge. That doesn't mean it may not need to consolidate longer, and it may not be, a little bit slower than maybe some people want it. But you're certainly buying dips above 25K.
For sure, for sure, for sure. That was very good, very good. Yeah, I also forgot to mention, like, did you see the AMA death cross on the daily for gold?
For gold, now we're back to gold.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to mention I forgot. Like, I just wanted to chip that in. Like, I forgot to mention that. Because
I mean, it hasn't quite EMA death crossed. It's about to. But I don't know. I'd daily charts bullish on gold really, and I think you'd want
yeah,
to
for
buy
sure.
like 1950 maybe. If you're going off the daily chart, you see that clear level around 1950. I like the weekly chart too. I'd love to buy around the weekly 200 again on gold. So I mean, gold's clearly headed higher in the coming years. I mean, just based on the chart, I think that's pretty obvious.
Maybe I'm looking at a different chart. Then mine is the Oanda. For some reason, I can't see death cross. I don't know, but just by the way, anyways. So my thoughts on BTC.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can look at the PA from 4th of March, Saturday 4th of March to 11th of March.
Okay, 4th of
That's
March to 11th of March.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm getting the feel that we are going to like repeat that move. You could see a consolidation from the 4th under the 50 and under the 8, EM 8 and 34, right? That was quite similar to where we are currently.
Yeah, I mean, there's some similarities for sure.
Then you can see the inside bars. Like this today's. If we close here today, that's 2 times inside. That implies consolidation, right?
Yeah, but that was the first time you have the inside bars after a move down. We're just sideways. So inside bars in a sideways environment are not really much information. Right? When you look at the inside bars after a move down, like a big red candle, I mean, it represents compression of force. And
so
when you're already sideways, force is already compressed.
Right. So, like, well, my thesis was that we get a test of the 200 again. Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely possible. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I think. Then, like, probably buy the since it's looking bullish.
There's scenario A where we just hold it at 25.5 area, and where it should hold. But there's another scenario where you do the panic dip thing, where you break below that level and people abandon their longs, and you do a quick flash dip. Like if we break 25K, I'd look for the price to rebound within about a day or two, like at the absolutely max. Like it shouldn't. I'm thinking maybe if it does break it, I'd be looking for a deviation. I'd be on watch for a deviation because bulls are in charge. Bulls do have the edge, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of a flash dip below the must holds level, and then there you could tag the 200 easily that way.
Right. Yeah, that's just my thoughts. Always nice to hear from you as usual.
All right, good to talk to you, man. All right. Appreciate you, man. Folks, if you want to join the conversation, hit that button in the bottom left, BTC Ask Me Anything. It's a great opportunity. We can look at a chart together. We can talk about your trading, what's working, what's not working, something you're trying to figure out. Maybe a good trade you had, a bad trade. Let's open up the conversation. We'll do the spaces for a little bit longer. Certainly, as long as we have questions. I'm Big Cheds, not Big Chonas. Big Chonas is with me. I am Big Cheds. Find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Make sure to check out all the educational stuff I have on my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading. I'm actually going to be live streaming there later tonight. Doing another one of those tweets explained segments. And what I'd like to do is take my tweets from a couple weeks or so, and some of my tweets tend to be highly academic. And what I like to do in my videos is I break down the academics of what I'm saying. I kind of walk you through it, and it will just help you in the future and kind of, to interpret the price action. So, folks who are listening, we have, it's an okay sized audience here. It is a Saturday, but this is a great time for you to join the conversation. Hit the button in the bottom left corner. I promise you that you will help make this conversation better by joining it and asking questions. If you just want to hear me talking to myself, that will be on YouTube later. So I'm going to pause here for just a moment while we wait for the next person who wants to step up and ask a
Hey,
question.
Cheds,
So we'll see who goes first. Yeah.
I have a question.
All right. What's up?
All right, so we're talking about Bitcoin.
Are you awake?
I'm
Over there?
here. I'm here in spirit. We're it's
Mid nap. I caught you
well,
mid
no,
nap.
it's actually it started to rain a lot finally, so that's pretty good.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's nice out. Yeah.
Wait. Okay.
Well, it's not. I mean, yeah. We're talking about Bitcoin since inception, right? And we've been
Sure.
seeing how its entire life the Nasdaq has been in a bull market, and
Yeah.
Nasdaq's had pullbacks, Bitcoin's had pullbacks, obviously, but Bitcoin has always been around in just a ripping Nasdaq.
Nasdaq looks really good right now.
Up until the shakiness of this past year has been, or I guess last year, 2022, which brought the Nasdaq down a lot from its all-time highs. That was
but it was overextended.
right.
It was so overextended. Look at that price relationship to even like the 200 in the weekly. I mean, it was so high up there.
So that was tested, though. It was like, oh, are we still in the scenario where Nasdaq is in an overall bull market, and this is just one of those pullbacks, and Bitcoin, that's why it pulled back, and another opportunity to add to your QQQs and whatnot. I still think we're on the cusp of answering that question, or we haven't fully been able to answer that question yet. Even
what are you talking? It's very answerable. It's very known. We know the market. It's a clear uptrend. There's just like no question about it. It just had an overextended move. It came back to the mean, which is the 200 moving average. It bounced off of it. Now we have a lower high break, and it's threatening to resume the primary trend. I mean, it's just super straightforward.
So if the money going into what has driven the Nasdaq back to levels that are still well off the highs, right? But
sure, I mean it's above everything except for like a 1 year period.
And Bitcoin bounced accordingly from the lows to where it is now. Altcoins kind of followed. Big, huge
but
moves.
Bitcoin's weaker.
Huge moves.
Bitcoin's weaker. Bitcoin's weaker than the Nasdaq now, though.
But are we still then just consolidating again and doing that thing where it's the kind of that calm before the storm of the bigger move, which we haven't really seen yet, and the directionalness of these moves tend to be we're going to be part of for a while now. The thing is about where new money is going to go if it gets drawn into this market.
Pepe coin, it will go into Pepe
that's
coin,
a big deal because we're seeing there's still the ability to pump bullshit out of nowhere, right? So it's still a possibility in this market, right? Does that mean there'll be another one? Probably not, just because of what you have is everybody that realizes it is already too late. So it's hard to see how risk on becomes a narrative heading into the summertime,
Hmm.
which is traditionally slower and quieter in terms of volume.
I think we know it. I think we can pretty much know what to expect, though, Big Jonas, for the next, choppy, low volume sideways for several months until the fall, late fall, probably. I mean, that's just how it goes,
There's
right?
always something that happens in
Um,
the late fall for sure.
yeah, I mean, so it's summer, and look, trends will need to consolidate. I mean, Bitcoin's weaker than Nasdaq, and I think the Nasdaq has a much better chance of making a new high than Bitcoin, personally, just kind of given the price structure. It's quite a bit more firm in my view. Um, I just think Bitcoin needs some time to chill here. I think Bitcoin needs a good year sideways. And I think that's great. I think that's fine. That's like another year you're above 20K. That's another year you're above 15, 20K, right? And you're baking in gains from the longer term. And that just allows you then to maybe push for a new high a little bit further down the road. And I think that's okay. We've talked about this too, right? I think really the cycle of just brand new all-time highs every 4 years. I don't think that's going to happen, right? I don't think it's the case
I
anymore.
think that lets off the hook people that are still holding on to the remnants, the remains of their 2021, 2022 early, portfolios. Just because historically it all comes back. Even the biggest pumps come back to pump again. But is that what do they say, that the market can be more irrational than you can stay solvent?
No, that's you can be more irrational than I can stay solvent, Big Jonas. That's how it
It won't
works.
take much.
No, but it's true. I mean, it's so true. And there's all sorts of variants of that, right? Like the RSI can stay oversold, like, more longer than you can stay solvent. You know what I mean? Like, just the market's going to trend. It usually will continue. And I think the mistake most people make. And by the way, folks, join the conversation. Carl, what would you like to say, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Cheds? How are you doing
Good, man. I'm just observing some coins over
today?
here.
Very funny. Um, Dude, hey, I love your content. It's pretty wonderful asset to have for so many other people. Um, so I've got
Thank you for saying that.
yeah. Well, random side note, in random fact. Um, so it is 100% impossible to identify whether a chicken when it's born is male or female. And
Hmm.
what's interesting is these individuals found a way, I think it was in China, to basically, there were certain people that they were around baby chickens so frequently that they were just able to know whether it was a male or female. And so they would train
Hmm.
other people how to do this by this master who's learned this, right? Who's like been around these chickens and knows whether they're male or female right away. Again, no identifiers physically, but they would stand
Jesus.
behind somebody and they would say male or female, and the person behind them, that's the master, would say true or false, yes or no. Like that is male. You're correct. And they would do this so
Mm.
much that eventually these other people, without again having any identifiers, their accuracy would just improve to where it almost got
Mm.
to 100%. And so, dude, you're one of those people that, like, I feel like you're that master standing behind younger guys like me that are new to this kind of stuff and being like, good trade, bad trade, good trade, just through like your content and everything that you do. So greatly, greatly appreciated, my friend.
I just love that metaphor. It's the first time I've heard it, and you made me smile. So I appreciate that, man. I really do.
Awesome. Well, that's what life is about, my friend. Hey, question for you. Super specific situation. So I'm new to a lot of trading, but I've been in the market for a long time, right? And so I've been watching charts and learning more TA and doing more active trading now. Um, I've been trading Mask a lot.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
seems
yeah,
like a solid project and tons of growth potential. And I've been tracking it for about 6 months and trading it for about 6 months and taking advice.
yeah.
Like,
Market likes it.
yeah, it does. But like the other day, so if like you called a range of it hitting around 490 and then dropping down to that MA 200
Yeah,
around like 430, right? And it got really close. It hit like 487, and then it dropped down, and it was again super close, and it was, I think, like 436 or 437, somewhere around there. When you establish those levels and you're going to activate a trade, do you set a range of like a couple different sell prices near where you think it's going to hit, and then do you sell a couple different buy prices near where, like four? Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
So there's a couple ways to do this. And first of all, and when I pulled out those levels like in the middle of the spaces, and a lot of it is just gut feel for it's a gut feel for like the texture of a consolidation and a bullish consolidation, and really the Bollinger Bands too. So a lot of times you'll see the price will at least tag the upper Bollinger Band when it had that much strength, after a breakout. So here's what you would do. Let's say you're anticipating it at least going to the upper Bollingers, and you ask like where do you put in your sells? Couple things. First of all, I don't take one trade. I take like 5 trades for the same trade. So I take that $1,000 and I have 5 $200 positions. So I can move some of those stop losses up aggressively. I can have some a little bit lower. So I'm always giving myself more flexibility, right? That's number one. Number two, when the price is close to that key level, I drop to lower time frame, and that's the rule of classical charting. It's when you're close to a key level, that's when you drop to lower time frame, and then you can start to look for weakness. Maybe you see that a higher low is lost, and then maybe that's when you slide up your stop loss. Maybe that's when you kind of move up and maybe take profit. So you have to actively trade when the price is at that key moment, right?
Right.
If you can't actively trade, then you just gotta stagger those stop losses in profit, right? So you have, instead of having just one position, you have it set to take profit at different levels depending on what the price does, because the price is really unpredictable, obviously, and you don't know whether it's going to consolidate in the top third of the move, high and tight, or if it's going to consolidate kind of towards the middle part of the move, retrace 50% of it, or even 2/3 of it, hit that golden pocket if you're a fib trader. So that's why you kind of stagger your stop losses. So there's the 2 lessons there are breaking up your position so you can use different stop losses. And the second lesson is that you're dropping the lower time frame when the price is at a key level.
Gotcha. Awesome. So even at those, you'd say usually you're around like 5 different trades in either direction that you're
No, same direction. It's the same trades. Like if I'm just like, let's say Bitcoin, what is Ethereum? Let's say Ethereum's at like 1820. Let's say I say I want to go long on Ethereum at 1700, and let's say like tomorrow it drops to 1700. I'm going to go long at 1700 5 times.
Gotcha.
And then let's say it bounces to like 1900. I can move up 2 of those stop losses to 1820. I can move one up to like 1780. I could keep one at break even, one back to the original level, like whatever, 1670 or whatever I'm doing. And so I'm allowing myself flexibility. And like I went long in Bitcoin at 18.5, and I only have 30% of that position still because the rest of it's already taken profit on.
Cool.
Right. Yep. The idea is to get yourself into a position of free riding, where you're just riding the remainder of a position. You've already taken profit and you still have some left that you can ride and continue with the trend. Because again, trends will tend to continue.
Awesome. Man, thank you.
Hey, you see my YouTube stuff? Have you checked out my YouTube stuff?
I have, yeah. I've started to
awesome.
divulge a lot of that content. So
heck yeah. Check out Bitcoin Live. It's the sale this week. It's the 5-year anniversary. Literally 3 months for $27. It's obscene. So I would encourage you to check it out. A lot of great educational stuff there.
Awesome. Thank you, brother, so much. One other question for you, random.
Go for it.
Please what are you currently reading? You seem like an individual who's constantly learning and growing. Yes. What's something you've been reading recently that you've really been loving?
Well, I just finished the Annie Duke book, Thinking in Bets, because I'm working on an outline and draft for a poker and trading book 5. And I'm reading like a Daniel Negreanu's like little poker book. It's on like, poker stuff. So those are the books I'm reading. I'm actually reading my own cancer memoir because I'm going through and re-editing it.
Wow.
And because I didn't the writing was so rough when I first published it. So now I'm trying to smooth it out. And it's like the book is so huge. It's just taking me forever. I'm like halfway through the first pass. So I'm reading that. I'm reading poker books, and I'm playing a lot of video games too. So
Awesome.
I'm having a good time.
Man, that's got to be a tough thing, going back through all those different dynamics of your life and reassessing all of that. That's a lot. That's a commendable thing to do.
Thank you. It's well, the hard part's the second half. I haven't gotten there, but that's how we grow. You got to challenge yourself. You got to sometimes put yourself in an uncomfortable position and then see how you come out of it.
I'm all about it. Awesome. Well, thank you, brother.
I
Really
appreciate you, man.
You have a good rest of your day.
You too, man.
Peace.
Thank you so much. Jonas, what do you got?
I point about the book thing. Another book to read is the Order Book. And I was thinking about his question to you, and one other data point to consider, especially when you're trading a specific coin on a specific exchange, is how is the order book stacked? And price likes to move towards liquidity. So think about, this is where I'll take profit. Well, is that before or after this liquidity pool? And you can observe that, on the order books of these, depending upon which exchange you're trading on. And those things are another factor point that you should consider when entering trades and deciding what's a good area to assume the easiest flow to lock in a trade, and then what areas will take a lot more capital to push through.
How do you navigate knowing if it's like a prop bid, or it's genuine? Like, how do you deal with kind of shenanigans?
Well, you have to use the TA side of it to say, is this a scenario where we're forming a structure that can bring the price up to this point? Are we doing a higher low triangle? Are we are we setting an equilibrium in the price?
So if it's just a huge bid in a random place, maybe you'd be a little bit more skeptical of it, you're saying?
Yeah, a lot of times bids are set up based on measured moves of formation. So you use TA formations to get a measured move in price to determine, if this is this, then it could play out to around here. And that's where I'm going to put, that's where I want to sell if it's a bullish move. That's where I want to buy if it's a bearish move.
All right.
And normally you'll see the order books kind of stack up accordingly.
So you trading? I mean, you're doing a lot of options for equities, right? There's no order book in that you're really kind of taking into account, right? Are you looking at IV and stuff like that? Like, are you doing order book with that?
A different kind of order book. So it's about understanding, again, the value of the contract.
Yeah.
Is it worth the premium they're charging? Is there a premium? How long do I have to kind of wiggle through the trade? And most importantly, what happens the day after? Am I in a contract that I can hold overnight or over consecutive nights and not get destroyed by the bleed?
Yeah.
So these are things that, if you're trading options, you have to understand the contracts and what that can do overnight. There's risk and reward and all that. When trading crypto, things I think about is leverage. It's very tempting to just take a little bit of money and 100x that shit and see how it goes, or 50x it, and maybe you might hit some, but over the long term, it's not going to work out. So it's in life, it's the slow and steady grinds that eventually pay off bigger in the long run. But especially in these kind of environments, if you want to survive as a trader, you can't take on too much risk, and have to understand what your risk is, because
that
the market
doesn't
has
sound
a
like
way.
fun. You're making it sound so unfun.
Well, what's fun about the market is making money in the market. We're all here to make money. We're not here for the culture.
No, we're here to make friends and
Sure.
and the meme. We're here for the memes.
We're here for the memes. That's the only reason I'm here. But you think about that in the context of what is that actually, what are you building? What are you achieving by all the studying of charts and all this? It's in the end, it's to try and monetize it, to find that edge
Yep.
and then trade accordingly. And those are two different things. You can get the best TA and the best education, follow the best people you feel on Twitter or on YouTube, but in the end, being able to actually execute that idea, that edge in a trade that pays off, that you put $1 in and you're able to make $1.10 or $2.10 and manage that, and then considering the fees and the taxes and all the other implications about actually making money.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And in a bull market, everyone's a genius, but in the market we've been in over the past year, 2 years now, look how many real geniuses are out there. And at this point, it's those who are still survive, those that still are in this because through risk tolerance and risk discipline and just understanding that you have to adapt, which is the number one rule, is adaptability in all kinds of markets. And it's not that easy for people that miss, think about the bull run. There were a lot of people that didn't know any better that did exceptionally well for a time in the bull market. And there are people that have been doing this for their entire lives and missed or misplayed or underplayed, I guess, the opportunity that they saw in 2021 and in the bull market. So it's not necessarily a guarantee that you're gonna you know play a play or a time period better because of experience. Naivete has paid off quite well in all sorts of things. But over the long run, the only way you're going to survive is to understand what you're actually doing. And the times it makes sense to put capital at play and risk on, and the times where you need to be cautious and conservative and understand what it will take to be here for the long run. That's
There it is.
where we're at in this environment.
That's Big Jonas. Haroon, man. Thank you, Big Jonas. Haroon, what's happening, man? Thanks for being patient.
Hey there, how are you, sir?
Good. It's nice to speak with you again. How have you been?
I'm good, thanks. I was at Afghanistan, by the way, so I was out of internet.
Oh.
So my question is that if somebody don't want to trade on daily basis, right? So what are the major key levels for Bitcoin to go long on these trend lines? I mean, since it haven't
trend line. Don't say trend line. Don't say trend line. That word's not allowed.
I mean, currently it haven't visited 22K, right? So should it be the best possible case scenario to go long on?
25. Hey, I'll give you some levels to just watch, to just chill on and watch. All right. So for sure, 25K. And then you're gonna want to watch. I'd say right at about 19.6. We're at the lows from March 6th, the March 6th lows and that hammer candle. Right. I'd watch there, and then you can watch, of course, the 18.5. If you're going to use moving averages, daily MA 200 as well. I think that's going to be a big area of interest. But here's what I think. Here's the problem. I think if 25K is such an important level. If we break below it, there's kind of a vacuum from 25 to 20K. You have to kind of step back and let the price structure develop a little bit, because we just completed the reversal pattern. I'm muting you a little bit of background noise. We just completed that reversal pattern. So if we fail, if there's a failure or a deviation, a failure to hold above that, we're gonna have to then step back and reassess a little bit and let the price settle down a little bit. So it's a little bit harder to pin down a buy the dip level, in my view, below 25. So I think just really the most important level is gonna be right there at 25 to 25.5K. Haroon, we'll get you WoW in a second. I'll get you next. All right, Haroon?
I have another question.
Please.
The other day, Big Jonas predicted that Ethereum could visit 300 or 400 bucks. So do you see its possibility?
No, he's crazy, but I'll let him tell you.
Okay, great.
Jonas, I don't think you're right, but tell us why you are.
I think it can definitely go back to $300 or $400. I think about how when Bitcoin hit 3250 in 2018, and the people that had never heard of Bitcoin, let's say, until it broke like 1,000, and then on the way up, and people had never heard about Bitcoin until it broke 10,000 on the way up to 20,000. To them, oh, I bought it at 20,000, now I can buy it at 3,000. They're thinking, well, is that enough of a value where I was willing to buy it at 20K, and now it's 3K. Is that enough of a value for me to try again? And those that did bought the bottom. We think about when Bitcoin went to 15K a few months ago, whatever, at the bottom of the FTX thing for now.
End of the year.
And bounced, right. And then bounced to 31,000 a few weeks ago. Was that the same event? It was quicker, right? But was that the moment where that 15K, which seems very high to the people that, bought at 10K or not very high, but like, but the people that bought it at 50K plus, is that enough of a value price, 15K, to say, yeah, that's low enough. I can't believe I bought it at 50 or 60, but now I have a chance to buy it at 15 or 18 or 20.
Sentiment bottom, though. Sentiment did bottom, right? Isn't that an important data point? Sentiment did bottom when price was at 15, 16K.
Right. So is the equivalence of that with Ethereum, right? Ethereum, if Bitcoin can do 70K to 15K, right? But that's like cutting it in half and then cutting it in half again. So Ethereum did around 4K. So they cut it in half at 2K and then cut it in half again. And then, I could see it definitely going to a place where somebody would think it's still too expensive, but others would see it enough as a value price. And I don't see that yet until maybe something in the 300s. Now the reason for that is basically it hit $100 twice. It hit $100 twice 3 years ago.
It's because you want to buy it there. That's a ridiculous price.
I think it still maintains the higher low while blowing out all the bulls over the past like 2 years.
I don't think it ever goes below 500 again. I mean, I don't think there's really any chance.
But I would say one more thing about it, and I'm done. It's that the concept of anything other than Bitcoin, right, which is Ethereum and all the other coins, regardless of what their use case is, it's still not Bitcoin, which was the only original reason for Bitcoin was for Bitcoin. And then it was discovered, it's pretty easy to make all sorts of copies on it, and that's why we have the tradable market that we do. But believing that Ethereum could go much higher and not go much, much lower is negating the possibility that it could be determined to be a security and an unlawful security.
It's already baked in. The market, all those that uncertainty is already baked into the price, don't you think?
Or a use case about the Ethereum chain as a whole, that overall kind of, does this really have any value at all?
All right, Haroon, there's your answer from Big Jonas.
All right, so will you be a buyer in 300, 400 area, or still you'll think that it will come lower?
I think if Ethereum is under 500, then that means the market itself is in a serious bloodbath.
Serious problem, yeah.
But it could be an opportunity as well, right?
What's that?
It could be an opportunity as well. I mean, best buying opportunity as well.
Of course it could be. I mean,
yes, but it depends on how it gets there. If it gets there quickly, yes.
That's the best answer.
If it gets there slowly, then maybe not. You got to look at it's not about a price. It's about how it gets there. And a violent move down to that level would likely snap back up, but a slow bleed would be a lot riskier. So,
and then it depends how you want to actually capitalize on that move. If it's, let's say it did hit 500, are you buying for a long-term hold for years to come, or are you playing some sort of a bounce that could take it back to 1,000, right? But then slow bleed back down to where you originally bought it, just to eventually blast off in the years to
You
come. So you have to
sell
ask
half.
yourself what
Sell
kind of
half
trade
and
this is.
ride free, right? Sell half and ride free.
That's one possibility. Sure.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for being patient. Wow. Wow. In ING, wow. Thanks for being patient, man. What would you like to say? Next up, and folks, we'll probably take a couple more people if you want to join the conversation. Feel free to
Hey,
step up and ask. What's up, wow?
Hey, what's up, guys? My question is, will Bitcoin still be a valuable coin once it's known that DARPA created it during the time of Robert Albright and it was
There we
used
go.
in the Silk Road? No, this is a reality because it's I'm trying to really find out the real use for the coins and what they're, because there's other coins better than Bitcoin
Based on
using
what? Based on what?
based on use case, utility value.
Yeah.
Because Bitcoin is only just good for transactions. It has no smart contract.
Right.
So, but
What
Does it
about the
have a
based on,
value of
value? Does
its
Bitcoin have
network?
a value? Even if there's better stuff, does Bitcoin have like a value, or should it
well,
be
if it
zero?
comes out like it might come out in the Pandora Papers
Yeah.
regarding how Bitcoin is a DARPA project. I
Yeah.
equate to Facebook how
Yeah.
LifeLog was created by DARPA and then just given over to Mark Zuckerberg
What do you think,
to.
Jonas? It's a very interesting topic. Thank you. Big Jonas, do you have any thoughts on that?
Does it matter?
That's what I think.
I mean, the whole thing is based on this guy Satoshi, right? I mean, so basically, Bitcoin is based on, in the beginning there was God, and his name was Satoshi Nakamoto, and he just created Bitcoin. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
that's the story.
right?
But
But
if it comes out that
obviously,
DARPA made it, won't people feel they got played or fooled and they
I
might
don't
dump
think so. I doubt
Bitcoin?
it. I doubt it. I don't think it would
obviously,
matter.
there were computer scientists that created the code, right? For the initial Bitcoin blockchain and how that whole thing works. So I'm sure, like, it's you have
But that's
to.
the question. Does it matter who started it, Jonas?
Yeah, I
If
guess
there's
that's the
already,
thing. Like,
yeah, yeah.
Well,
that's the
how it
overall thing.
started, but it kind of had a hidden agenda per se because I know the cryptographers, the CryptoPunks,
Mhm.
Yeah.
they made it for they had a good purpose. The idea was great, but once it's a government project like
Hmm.
LifeLog is to Facebook, you think people are still gonna go and support it, or there might be some who are hardcore like Bitcoin addicts. You won't see them going to other tech, maybe ETH,
I
which
think
uses.
most people
Well,
don't care. I think most
yeah,
people
it's
don't care
about
about
how
the
you make
origins,
money off it.
honestly.
It's
Yeah, they
how
just
you
want to
make
know if
money
they
off it.
can. Is it a commodity? Is there like demand? I think most people don't care about the origins, and I think the cyberpunk people is a very small percentage of the people who are in it right now. Like you've got a lot of people who are unbanked around the world who are using it. You've got all sorts of use cases. People want to use it as like a hedge against other currencies. I think for those people, they wouldn't care like how it started. I mean, my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. It's just my thought, my initial gut reaction to your question, which is a very interesting question. I don't think it would matter personally, but what do you guys think?
Gentlemen, I'll leave you with this. In Wizard of Oz, once they pulled over the 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 thing and they saw who the real wizard was, no one
Yeah,
really
yep.
started believing in the wizards.
I love
Once
that
they
movie.
removed the veil,
I love that
they
movie.
saw all powerful wizard wasn't all powerful at all.
Yeah.
I just feel it might be the same story repeating itself in Bitcoin. Oh, thank you, gentlemen, for your
Yeah.
time.
I have some really interesting topic. I'm so glad. I love that you came up and said that. And so, that's really awesome. That was really interesting. What do you think, Jonas? You want to riff on that?
Just that, sure. I mean, it sounds kind of conspiratorial, but what is it? What is the advantage of it? It's a technology that has been found to there's been a way where it can be monetized, and what's unique about that is that it shouldn't be, because things that are securitized have to have a backing. The dollar is backed by the government, but Bitcoin and the valuation of all the other alts, they're only backed by what the market will pay for them. And
Correct.
but that doesn't work. So how do you create a market for something that shouldn't have a market? It's by manipulation of exchanges to
Yep.
make it seem like there's a market, to
Yeah.
pump these things, to bring in new money, to create a market. And for years, that was allowed to go unabated and totally accessible to mostly everybody. And we saw what happens when that kind of availability of greed and deception can be on a massive scale. You pump markets, you create bubbles, and we see bubbles in our world all the time: housing, stock market.
Jonas,
So here we are.
you know what I think is interesting that might be like a threat actually is if like somehow the scarcity would go away. Like if we found out like actually hidden in the code it really wasn't 21 million. You know what I mean? I think that's something the market would care about. Not necessarily like who started it, but my opinion would be like if like somehow we all found out that the scarcity thing was bullshit. I think that would be the real threat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little deceptive, the number 21 million. Like, yeah, it's 21 million, but you can fractionalize Bitcoin quite a bit. So it's
Right.
not like there's only 21. There's almost an infinite amount of Bitcoin that you can break apart to make it its own transaction. So that's not scarcity. And even the halving will cut the blocks in half, but
Yeah.
6 to 3. But still, there's already about 20 million coins already out there. So 95% of all the coins already out there. So that's not really going to change a lot of the supply. So it's what the market can create, the narrative, the pump, the money, to drive price. But does Bitcoin have the potential? This is the last thing I'll say. Does Bitcoin have that potential to go on some sort of exponential rocket ship, green candle from God move
Again?
because it's done it before and it's theoretical it could happen again.
I don't
And
know. I think we've talked about it earlier. I think we're going to
yeah.
probably turn sideways. Cliff, did you want to jump in? Cliff, did you want to say something, man?
Yeah, just to add to the topic, it's always East versus the West. So I wanted to ask if you see a future where there's a possibility of, let's say, USA being strongly against BTC and crypto, and China
Uh-huh.
and Russia and the other countries, maybe the smaller countries that are not doing so well, being all pro crypto, and whether this is a likely chance, or what do you think about this? And also one more thing,
Yeah.
do you think AI could get to the level where they would just be able to, I don't know, get our keys and solve everything, and all the narrative of crypto could be in jeopardy because of these super advanced computers in the next, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, 20 years?
So for me, I'll let Jonas riff. For me, I think like the U.S. may initially try to slow it down, but I think the market will work itself out if there's a demand for it. I think industries will build in the U.S. and literally they'll have to pay off the politicians here. That's how it works. They'll have to donate to them, and as soon as they they paid enough people on both sides, we'll get the right regulation to allow the business to grow. So I think like the U.S. can't resist it. It's eventually gonna become more crypto friendly. Right now it sucks. Maybe it sucks for a while, but it will eventually work itself out. I feel confident about that. As far as AI, I mean, I feel like AI could probably do everything eventually, and it's very possible that almost anything could be changed by it. Whether they can hack the keys, hack the chain, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
was even thinking
Probably
like
smart.
trading in general, like you're a pretty smart guy and you know your shit, you know how to trade, but I'm pretty sure that there's a computer that will be able to do it better than you. And if everybody if
Probably
everybody uses,
quicker, more
yeah,
precise, more disciplined than me.
so
Yeah,
if
but can they do sentiment? Like I do a lot of sentiment read that helps me too.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah, but it's all about mostly about the charts, and if all these PCs would
yeah,
trade for people, like how there would be a market if everything would be done by AI and
sure.
it could trade perfectly,
Yeah,
basically, like what implications would that have to the market?
yeah, yeah. Maybe I'd be out of a job. I mean, who knows? So, I'm just happy for today. Today's a good day. I think you could take anything and really worry that it's our future is going to be like for even for our kids. I'm actually writing a sci-fi book, which is kind of about like That's some themes of that kind of AI taking over and human like machine hybrid. Like,
Yeah.
we're not just gonna all have like natural organs. Like, eventually, people can have like robot legs or whatever, or robot eyes, and just because like the market will create it, and then who knows? But whatever. I don't know, man. We could talk about that forever.
Yeah, true that. I mean, just basically having a phone makes you a cyborg. So yeah.
That's it, man. Any more questions before we wrap it up, folks? Jonas, did you want to riff on what he was saying, and then if anybody wants to ask a question, this is the time. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Just the thing about how the governments of the world need to have control of the money flow and supply and transferring wealth and whatnot. It's important for taxes, right? So it's not like the governments are anti-crypto, because I think eventually
They just want to get paid.
efficiency standpoints, right? Like, it's probably might be a better accounting system in some circumstances, or a transfer of money, but they need their piece of the pie, and they're not
Yes.
going to just
Yes.
let
Yes.
anonymous offshore people be able to just send tons of money, launder money, organizations, all that stuff. So they're not anti-crypto. They just want to get, as you said, their piece of the pie. So they're going to make sure that if you want to be involved in crypto, that's great. We just need you to register your personal information, and we'll be able to make sure. And
Right. The
one thing
KYC.
about crypto that isn't something that's talked about too much is there's a downside to people being able to see the entire blockchain, open and transparent.
Yep.
And you
Yeah.
can track this stuff. There's a thing,
Right.
oh, look at this wallet and look at the transfer of this wallet. And when you are able to steal stuff, and they can trace where it's sent wallet
But
to
isn't that
wallet.
good? Isn't that sunshine good for accountability? Isn't that
It's
isn't that good?
accountability. It's good for people that want it in a good way, but it's bad for people that don't want it in that open way, and that's where um, that dynamic is playing out. So it behooves the governments of the world to use this technology uh, to figure out the best way to allow people to use it, and they'll get behind it because they'll be able to get their piece, and
So
that's
they'll
what we
eventually
need.
capture a good part of the traffic, but there's always going to be traffic outside of the system too. Really, any
Well,
system.
there's always going to be a black market out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is on a different level. This is, I mean, being able to really transfer true wealth with a thumb drive, right?
Right.
Is something that is new. You
Or
don't have to
several thumb drives
or
spread around the
spread
country.
around in the USA. This is true. This is true. So I think that's something to kind of consider, that there's always a happy medium somewhere. And I
Yeah.
think we're finally playing out that long overdue time to figure out where that line should be met.
It's been a great conversation. That's Big Jonas. He's at Big Jonas on Twitter. He's on YouTube at Jonas Trading. I think he probably does like one video a year if you annualize it. But Jonas is a great resource. Always happy to have him come hang out with me. This is Ask Me Anything, episode 39. I have done 5 spaces this week. Monday, Tuesday. This is my 6th space this week. I'm gonna do another one tomorrow and one Monday, and then I'm gonna take a break. It's the 5-year anniversary for Bitcoin Live, the best-in-class educational platform for crypto. I'm a founding analyst, and I'm part of a world-class team of analysts. You can look at what we do for free on the public blog. I had my Wednesday report declassified, so to speak. I asked the admin to make it public, so you can go watch that and see what we do. The sale is ridiculous. You get the first 3 months of membership for $27. You can cancel, of course, before it renews. You'd be crazy to leave, though. It's the best thing out there. Super proud of it. I do a report Wednesday and Sunday night. I have not missed a report in over 4 years. And so that's why we're doing all this. But most of what I do is free on my YouTube channel at Cheds Trading. Check out the free version of my book, Trading Wisdom. That's available on Amazon along with Trading Quotes. I published that back in December. I'm working on Trading Journal right now. That should be out early next year, maybe. Check out the Masterclass Technical Analysis tutorial playlist. I teach a blended style of Western and Eastern TA, classical charting, and Japanese candlestick analysis. I am CMT level 1 certified, and I think a lot about trading psychology and risk management, and that's my style, and I enjoy what I do, and I'm really happy you folks joined us here for another conversation. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I would say hang in there, and if you want to talk, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I look forward to hearing from you then. All right, Big Cheds out. All right, that was episode 39. I'm going to get the rest of these up here on Twitter, from Twitter to YouTube. YouTube Cheds Trading, Twitter Big Cheds. Books are on Amazon, Trading Wisdom, Trading Quotes, and check out the free masterclass series on YouTube. Big Cheds out.